Welcome back to EDH Deck Building. I am your host, Demo, and it's time to react to some hot takes by my viewers. It has been a while since I did a video like this. I think about a year ago I did a video reacting to the hot takes of my patrons. I asked my patrons for some hot takes and, you know, just spicy opinions, whatever you want to call it. And I gave my opinion on that. And in fact, you guys probably aren't aware of this, but a whole lot of my videos, the ideas for those videos come from the comments that I see. I'm not actually reacting to it, but I'm like, oh man, that thing that guy's saying is crazy and wild. I got to make a video about it. I've done that a bunch. Here, I'm actually reacting to your guys' comments. Unbeknownst to you, of course, I had been planning on doing this for a while. I've sort of been collecting them. And what exactly videos are all these from? I'm not sure. Some of them I am sure, some not so much. The reason I decided to do this right now is because I just came out with two videos. One that I knew was going to be a controversial one that I was going to get a lot of feedback, negative and otherwise on. And one that I actually didn't think I'd get that much pushback on, and I kind of did. One was my Don't Play Popular Commanders video, which I guess I should have expected that. You know, maybe I should have expected a lot of pushback there because people obviously like playing popular commanders. That's why they're popular. Again, I'm just giving deck building advice here. That's all. The other one, which just came out yesterday, which is why I'm recording this video today, is I don't even know what I called it. It's going too far with white, like white's getting really powerful in the format and all that kind of stuff. And of course, I got a whole lot of pushback on that video, which is fine. You guys can disagree with me. And I think I responded to more comments from that video than I ever have before. I responded to a lot of people because I think, again, not a lot of good takes there. A lot of people have very one-dimensional thinking when it comes to that kind of stuff, in my opinion. And as I say all the time, Commander is a different animal, right? It's just different. So many people are always bringing in these mentalities from Legacy and Modern and all these other formats into Commander. And I'm just like, it just doesn't work that way in this format. I mean, let's get to the first sort of comment. One that I heard quite a bit, at least a few times, and I actually posted I pinned a comment to the top of the video because I heard a bunch of people saying, yeah, white's can do all these things, but what it can't, how does white win? I thought that was such a weird comment. I heard it from a few people, which means someone must be, maybe another content creator is spreading that idea of, well, how does white win? Well, first of all, I mean, what are we talking about here? Mono white? Because obviously, what if your deck is more than one color, which most commander decks are, then I don't know, you're getting the help from the other color. Whatever your commander's doing is likely the way you're going to win. I mean, most commanders nowadays have their win con stapled on them. But as I said in the pinned comment I put on there, how does your deck win? What's that got to do with color? You know, I have 3 mono white decks. They all play differently and they all win differently. And in fact, I won with all 3 of them very recently. And, you know, for me, I don't have like specific win cons in most of my decks. I typically just win with combat damage like most. Like, how does a green deck win? Combat damage. Does a green deck win in any other way, right? Most red decks win through combat damage, right? So most decks just win through combat damage. So I like that. I just find that to be a very weird question, saying, how does white win a game? I don't know. How does a Darien deck win a game? I would imagine it makes a bunch of soldier tokens and then attacks you with the soldiers. You know, like what's that got to do with color? It has nothing to do with anything, right? Does every black deck win the same way? I'm pretty sure they win different ways, right? Getting to some other comments from that video. Again, that's why I decided to do this right now. I think one of the reasons white has so many cards in the top most played and black doesn't, I mean, people are so defensive about black. It's unreal. The fact that I mentioned, that one little snippet about black not having that many cards in the top, you know, 30 or whatever, not having any, I don't think. Man, I got a lot of people pushing back that people just really like black. And I think the main reason why is because of tutors, and that's it. That's all I heard from people is black has tutors, right? Everyone thinks black is so good in the format because of tutors. That's it. Just like everyone thinks blue is so good in the format because of counterspells. I mean, obviously those are really powerful things to do in the format, but I mean, come on, there's a lot more to a commander game than that, right? So this person is saying, and again, this is a comment I got quite a bit. White decks need to play most of those cards to function well in the vast majority. No, not at all. As I said in the video, 5 color decks are still playing Smothering Tithe, Fairies Protection, Swords to Plowshares. It has nothing to do with what white needs. And again, people were saying, just like this guy says, while black has so many options in specific cards, doesn't really need to be played. How many removal options does white have? I just made a video about Excise the Imperfect, how I can't find room for that in my mono white deck because white has so much good removal, right? So No, people aren't just playing Swords and Path because there are not better options. They're paying those cards because those are the best options for creature removal in the entire format by far, and they're playing Generous Gift for the same reason. And if they don't play those cards, they have 1,000 other options. Same with protecting your stuff, right? Yes, Teferi's Protection is the best option. And, some guy said, oh, well, name me 4 options that do the same as Teferi's Protection. Well, there's not 4 that do it as good as that. Teferi's Protection is the most popular card that does that because it's the best thing that does that. Just like there are not 4 other Rhystic Studies. There's only one. That's why it's the most popular draw option in the entire format. Blue has other draw options. They're not as good as Rhystic Study, though, right? Teferi's Protection is the best option. Flawless Maneuver, of course, a lot of people play. It's not as good, but it is free. That's pretty good too, right? Clever Concealment. We just got that one from Bloomborough, Dawn's Truce. And in fact, we also got Perch Protection, which, again, not as good, but it's doing a similar thing. So there's tons of options in white to do that, right? So they don't need to play those options. And in fact, after I made my video about Teferi's Protection, I have now taken it out of all my decks. I don't even play Teferi's Protection anymore. There's lots of other options that I can use. Another comment I got from that video. This video has a lot of bad takes, but fundamentally, for the premise of the video to work, you need to bridge the gap between popular and best. I agree. I didn't say anything about best. Again, people are just inferring that, I think. I didn't say white was the best. It was about the cards that were getting played, guys. That's literally the video I was talking about. What cards are people playing in the format? Obviously, Counterspell isn't the best counterspell, but it's the most popular. Exactly. No one said it was the best. It's the one that everyone's playing, though. This one's really silly, though. Obviously, Mana Crypt is a better card than Arcane Signet. I wouldn't say so. And again, I know I have a controversial opinion here, but I would never put Mana Crypt in a deck, even if it was $1. It has a horrible downside. It does 3 damage to you frequently. And again, I know people are going to disagree with me because the mentality is Mana Crypt is just a powerful card, and it also costs a lot. It only adds colorless mana. I said the same thing about Ancient Tomb. I don't think Ancient Tomb is very good in a 5-color deck. I would much rather have a City of Brass, and I don't think Mana Crypt is very good in a 5-color deck. Wouldn't you not rather have an Arcane Signet in a 5-color deck? You need 5 colors, guys. That's way more valuable to you to have a mana rock that adds any mana of any color rather than a mana rock that adds colorless mana that might be dealing you 3 damage every turn. I know people think I'm trying to be edgy here. No, I actually don't like Ancient Tomb or Mana Crypt. They have a horrible downside in a casual commander game. Again, maybe this guy thinks I have a CEDH channel. In a casual commander game, I don't touch those cards. I don't care if they're even $1. I wouldn't put them in my decks. They don't make my deck worse. They make my game worse because they're constantly going after my life total, which I want, because if it gets lower, I die easier. I don't know. Is that controversial? I don't think it is. Again, the other video I did recently talking about avoid those popular commanders, I got a lot of pushback. I'll just grab one comment that a viewer had. Hipster take. Okay, sure. Lots of hipster players want to play the obscure decks. That's fine. Most other players' goal is to win. But of course, they also say, have fun or do something interesting. Okay, wait. You just said most other players' goal is to win. Have fun or do something. Okay, so I guess we're doing all of those things. Fair enough. I mean, I do like to win. That's not the main goal. I would say those other 2 are more important to me, having fun and doing something interesting. So how is doing something fun or doing something interesting not what I said? Why do I have to play a popular commander in order to do something fun or interesting? All my decks are super fun and interesting, I think. A lot of other people would agree as well. That's likely why people watch my channel. And more to the point, I actually win a lot of games too. All of those goals are possible with popular commanders. Yeah, they are possible, but they're also possible with unpopular commanders, right? And I actually responded to this guy and I said, I would argue that having your commander removed every time it hits the table isn't very fun and certainly doesn't help you win. So I literally am making the argument in the video. I don't even know if this guy watched the video. Sometimes I just assume that sometimes people look at the title of the video and immediately comment and then just leave without actually watching the video. I literally am talking in that video about why strategically, it has nothing to do with being a hipster. It has to do with strategically, it's a good choice because it doesn't make you a target, which is a bad thing to be in a commander game. Everybody knows it. If your commander is Turgid, you're the archenemy on turn 1. Is that a good strategy to have in a commander game? I think it is not. That's the argument I'm making, and I think it's a good one. Furthermore, as I said, If you're playing that commander that's removal magnet, how fun is that? That's fun. And I've seen it happen so many times. And another guy commented on this exact video of, I think he said there was this new guy at my LGS who has he threw an Ur-Dragon deck together. Again, exactly what I talk about. How when I first started playing Commander, the Traxa, hey, that looks like fun. But that's because I didn't understand the mentality of how Commander works. It is so much different than every other format. So of course he said this poor guy is just getting stomped because everyone sees the Ur-Dragon in the command zone. And every time he gets his commander out, someone removes it before he can even attack. That's what I'm trying to avoid here with that video. That's the advice I'm giving. I'm giving people the advice of, you should avoid popular commanders. If you actually want to have fun, avoid popular commanders. Because you won't have a swords knocking out your commander every time it hits the table before you can even do anything. That's my advice. Don't take it. That's fine. Moving along to some individual cards, and these are some fun ones. Again, I do my 10 cards video, of course, where I give suggestions on, obviously there are cards that are lesser known and obviously very unpopular for that reason, but also unpopular because they're just not the ones that people typically think of. They're not the commander staples. And I'm trying to make an argument in those videos. Again, I could just give you a list. Hey, here's a bunch of cards to go check out. The videos are important, actually, okay, because I'm trying to make a case for why you would want to play them. So one guy said, cannibalize 2 mana sorcery speed removal. Gross. Yeah, okay. I mean, again, 2 mana exile a creature by today's standards is considered gross. But I make a case for why cannibalize is actually pretty good in certain situations. You can even use it on yourself to put counters on your creatures, right? Here's another one funny. Echoes of Eternity is way overhyped. And here's my favorite phrase that I've been hearing since the beginning of my channel. It's a 6-mana enchantment that does nothing on the board if you don't cast a spell afterwards, or in other words, it doesn't impact the board right away. The worst saying ever. First of all, how many commanders just come down and don't do anything right away? Lots of them, right? How many, enchantments, artifacts, all those things that come down and don't do anything right away. I mean, geez, any land or artifact that enters the battlefield tapped is not going to do anything right away. You got to wait a whole nother turn to use it, right? So this idea of everything you play has to impact the board right away. Again, to get that mentality back to Modern or Legacy or wherever it came from, I don't think it fits. Not in casual Commander anyway. Moving on to, I believe this was my video talking about stealing the win, maybe? Who cares if you win because of Dockside Extortionist? Question. Who cares if you win from Expropriate? I hate whiny players. Just play the game, and if something happens that you don't want to play through, like Armageddon, just concede the game. So I grabbed this one for a very specific reason. It's always ironic to me when people are in the comments whining about me whining. I find that to be incredibly ironic, right? I'm sitting there complaining about something like I'm probably doing in this video, and some guy is literally whining in the comments about me whining. Dude, get a mirror, how about some self-awareness here? It's kind of funny when people go out of their way to complain in the comments about me complaining. Just saying. That's kind of what this guy is doing here. He's literally complaining about other people complaining. His solution to this problem, though, is particularly funny, right? If someone plays an Armageddon, just concede the game. Okay, so you don't want players to whine about the cards you're playing, but if someone plays a card you don't like, you just pick up your cards and leave. Like, really? It's super fun. Again, the complete lack of self-awareness here. They hate whiny players, but instead of complaining about something, you just pick up your cards and walk away and ruin the game for everybody else. That's much better, right? Here's another comment in a similar theme. And again, I'm bringing these up for a very, very particular reason. This is sort of on the other end of the spectrum. Had a guy resign when I countered his Pantlaza, which of course is a commander. And I believe this was in my counter spell video where I was talking about maybe you shouldn't be wasting your counter spells on someone's commander. Got a lot of pushback there, of course. And this is one of the one. I think this is the reason why. And again, I absolutely, this is awful. I think this is not making anything better for casual commander players, right? So he counters the guy's Pantlaza, 10 out of 10 would recommend. So basically what this guy is saying is I counter a guy's commander. He does what the last guy does and just leaves because he doesn't like what's happening instead of complaining about it. This guy would recommend that. You recommend the play of countering your opponent's commander so that they'll throw a hissy fit and walk out and ruin the game for everybody else. Why is that a good thing? Like, I hate this mentality. That's what you want out of a commander game? What you want out of a commander game is I piss off my opponent so much that they just pick up their cards and leave. Wow. Please go play some other game. Please, I'm begging you. Next up, terrible opinion for this vid. I wonder what video this was. Let's see if we can figure it out. Decks do need to have a win con sometimes, especially for decks that dirtle. Okay, my win con video. Especially for decks that dirtle, otherwise you have 3-hour EDH games. So I'll first say, 3-hour EDH games? That's so bad. I mean, that is a bit long. Obviously, I don't want every game to go that long, but I've played plenty of 3-hour EDH games. I mean, on my Discord, if you guys like 3-hour EDH games, come join my Discord. It happens frequently. I think of the hundreds of games I've probably played with my patrons on there now. And also, obviously I've played games in other forms as well. The amount of games I've played that were less than, like, how long do you guys think a game is supposed to last? A 4-player game of Commander. The amount of games I've played that have lasted less than an hour, I can count on one hand. I don't even know if I need all my fingers. Typically, hour and a half to 2 hours. Like, I don't know. How long is it supposed to last? A casual Commander game? It really is the format. If you guys want fast games, go play Modern or CEDH. Even though I will say sometimes CEDH games last quite a while as well. 3 hours, yeah, that's getting a bit much. But as I say all the time, if you guys have a cramped schedule, again, there's lots of other things you could be doing. For me, and I'm a busy guy, okay? When I'm going to sit down and play a Commander game, I clear my schedule. Oh, I got to be at work in an hour. Okay, why are you playing Commander? Do what you want, but if you have a real cramped schedule, I don't recommend a Commander game. Because yes, they can go 3 hours, although I will admit that is pretty long. But I've played a few 4-hour games even. But again, getting back to the crux of this comment is, what's the win con? Again, it gets back to the win con thing, which really drives me crazy. And as I said in that video, and I say all the time, 90% of decks just win with combat damage. I just attack you with my creatures. So that's my win con. My win con is the quintessential win con in the history of the game of Magic, right? Throughout most of Magic's history, the way you won a game was I attack with my creatures and reduce your life total to 0. Anything else was considered an alt win con. Well, that's the win con. Ever since the start of my channel, whenever people started asking what's the win con for this deck, I'm like, oh, what does that even mean? You mean where's the infinite combo that I win with? There isn't one. Moving along, this is from, I believe, one of my rules videos, or possibly my Teferi's video, where I talk about Teferi's protection being, there's a way to work around it, right? And I like having ways to work around things. And this guy said, this is one of those, it shouldn't work the way you say it does things. I hate players like this. Rules, lawyers, ruin games. And I don't know. I responded to this guy and said, you hate players that follow the rules? Why? Because then you can't cheat? I mean, listen, I know people are thinking, okay, the guy who sits there and nitpicks every little thing to death, that guy maybe, who can get a little annoying, but you got to play by the rules, right? There are rules to the game. And of course, we all get it wrong sometimes. I get it wrong sometimes. Sometimes you're playing a game, you miss triggers, all of that, fine. But if you do a certain thing and another player at the table points out that, no, it doesn't work that way, what are you just going to ignore? Nah, I'll just do what I want. Okay, so you're cheating now. Right? If you're not following the rules of the game, you're a cheater. Again, if it's something that maybe everyone at the table is not aware of, again, I've had people point out that they just played the game the wrong way in their pod. Hey, we thought, blocking creatures tapped. Honest mistake. But if you're actively not playing by the rules, that's called cheating. So, if there happens to be someone at the table who knows the rules really well and they point out the mistake you're making, you go like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anyway, right? And in fact, I've had guys, and listen, it is actually cheating sometimes, right? I had a guy tell me that there was a guy in his play group, and sometimes you can get the one guy who's a little bit of a bully in the play group, and he just convinced everyone that, what was it again? Something about his commander's ability worked in the command zone, and no, it was not eminence. And he just convinced all his play group that it worked that way. So he was just cheating. You're just a cheater. That's it, right? You don't like following the rules? You're a cheater if you don't. Am I wrong? Here's a funny one. And again, I get a lot of comments from guys that maybe they don't even know casual commander is a thing. Maybe they only play CEDH and they think there is not a casual variant. I'm not sure. So this was, I think, on my Modern Horizons 3 video. I talked about the strict upgrades and all of that. Man, your examples are not strict upgrades. Spree cards are not going in competitive decks because they cost more mana than their equivalents. And this is particularly funny now for a couple of reasons. Obviously, competitive decks, this is a casual commander channel guy. But also, it's also kind of funny because I literally just talked about how the spree cards, yeah, actually, he does have a point there. I mean, yeah, they're not going in competitive decks, of course. And no one said they were, but there is a point here how, yeah, maybe they aren't strict upgrades. So even though he's way off base by talking about competitive decks here, he does have a point that they aren't necessarily strict upgrades, you know, just like the MDFC lands and all of that. I literally just talked about that in a video, which is funny, but it's just kind of funny when you read on my channel that I'm obviously referring to casual commander, and I get guys that, again, he says, same for unexplained absence. A 4-cost card that draws each enemy a card is not the same as a 3-cost card that gives them all a small token. It draws them all a card? Is that what Manifest does? It draws you a card. Putting a land face down on the table that's a 2/2 creature is drawing your opponent a card? Not exactly, but tapped lands on the back. Dude, no one is going to put a destroy target creature for 4 mana in their deck. It's funny, doubly funny, because of course every casual commander player, I think he's referring to Fel the Profane there. Everyone is running out and putting that card in their casual commander decks. And it's extra funny because I just made a video talking about how maybe you shouldn't be putting that in your deck. So we've kind of come full circle here. This is kind of a funny one. And again, as I go here, I'm getting more into a sort of a bigger topic about, you know, CDH casual, and getting more and more, I've noticed, of these CEDH player comments or competitive player comments on my channel, because the format is moving more and more in that direction. And so some of these comments towards the end are reflecting that. This is genuinely bad advice. LMAO. This is again off my WinCon video. Unless your goal is simply to play against worse decks and have longer, more boring games where nothing really happens. Maybe one of the strangest comments, I believe this is the first one I grabbed, where when I saw this, I'm like, man, I gotta make a video responding to this. This is so bizarre. Long, boring games where nothing really happens. What is that? What commander game have you ever seen where nothing happens? Are people just playing a land and passing turn? Play a land, pass turn. Things are always happening in every command, no matter how janky the game is. You could have the most 4 dudes with the most jankiest decks ever created. Stuff's going to be happening. It will be janky stuff. It will be super casual and probably super interesting, but there's no such thing. That never in the history of Commander has there been a game where nothing happens. Everything's happening all the time. It's constantly things happening. So what a weird comment. So again, I imagine this is a CEDH player where it is the mentality of, you know, it's just constant stuff happening and gotta have my force of will ready. You're sitting on the edge of your seat constantly, you know, and you can't actually have a relaxing, fun, casual game. Maybe that's what they're used to. So super weird comment. And that comment is in a lot of mentality of some of the comments I've gotten and what's been happening in the game of Magic recently have led me to some more comments, which I'm going to end off here. I've been really growing less and less fond of Commander as of recently. I feel like the decks have not only gotten less creative, but the rules zero conversation keeps getting worse and worse at my LGS. It makes for miserable games. I love some of the cool decks I get to see. I've been playing Cube more and Draft due to these issues. You guys have no idea how many comments I see like this on my channel. And it is one of the reasons, again, I'm pushing in a certain direction. I can't count how many comments I've seen of people saying, man, I'm just not having fun anymore. I quit playing Commander, all of that. I got another one here. I missed the time when my playgroup was more casual. Nowadays, they play infinite combos and turn 3 ending commanders. Essentially, what these guys are saying is, I miss when Commander was actually a fun, casual format that I can enjoy. So I guess I'll just go do something else now. It's going to kill the format, guys, right? All this mentality, again, some of these guys commenting like, oh, it's unplayable garbage, and all these people making these CEDH type of comments like, I would just put Mana Crypt in all my decks over Arcane Signet, and comments like that. It's going to ruin the format. And that is a big overall topic that I discussed with a lot of these is Man, it really bums me out to see all these people going, yeah, I played Commander for years when it was a casual, fun, creative, interesting format. And now that everyone's playing these super powerful cards and everyone's telling me my deck sucks because I don't play all the best cards, just go play another format. I'm done with it, right? And in some cases, people even comment that they're just quitting Magic in general, right? And again, on my video where I talked about how I might not buy any new cards, people were saying, yeah, I stopped buying cards a long time ago. So it is a combination of Magic the Gathering themselves, right? Wizards of the Coast shooting themselves in the foot here by printing too many cards and printing, power creep, all of that kind of stuff. But it's also the players in the format. And I will say, again, I'm going to call some people out here. As I've said before, I transitioned from Modern to Commander when Modern was the most popular format in the game of Magic. And I left for the reason that it was just super competitive and I wasn't enjoying myself at all. I played both formats for a little while, but didn't take long before I was like, yeah, why am I still playing Modern? Goodbye. And I just played Commander and nothing else because I was having so much fun building decks and playing games and stuff like that. But then as Commander started to become more and more popular, again, everyone starts to like, what's this Commander thing everyone's talking about? And you might have even seen it with content creators. A lot of content creators out there, I saw it, that were like big Modern guys, like competitive, even guys that played in tournaments and stuff that played Modern or Legacy. Because Commander was so popular, they're like, okay, well, I got to get on the action. I got to play this popular thing too. So all of the competitive guys that were playing Modern, and slowly we went from Modern's the most popular format in the game to Commander's the most popular format in the game. And gee, I wonder why, because obviously all the Modern players started coming over to Commander. And of course, they started bringing that mentality, that competitive mentality, right? I came over from Modern to Commander because I was trying to get away from that. A lot of those guys were bringing it with them. And of course, CEDH became a lot more popular and you started seeing CEDH channels popping up everywhere. And just the mentality in general. People can do whatever they want. People will be screaming and yelling at me in the comments. I'm not the grand overlord of EDH, as I say all the time. This is just my opinion. You guys do whatever you want. Go ahead, make the most powerful decks imaginable, play super popular commanders, make yourself a target, do whatever you want. I don't care. I'm just giving my advice here. And a lot of the stuff I see, again, is comments like this of guys saying, yeah, I'm not having fun anymore. I see it all the time. I have guys, my patrons, playing on my Discord who they just have no fun at their LGS at all. And they don't even like going in anymore. They come to my Discord to play fun, casual games. Yes, because some people actually like 3-hour games, believe it or not. Anyway, there is my very much hot takes, I'm sure, on the hot takes that I see in my comments. Again, it's essentially just me ranting about some of the comments I've seen that over the past, maybe 3 or 4 months, I think I've been collecting these, clipping them and saving them for this video. You guys let me know in the comments below what you think. I'm sure it's going to be interesting. That is it for today, and thanks for tuning in. And people are gravitating that way. And the reason they're gravitating that way is as I said in my What Format Are We Playing video, Modern used to be the most popular format as I used to play Modern. And a lot of people, I think, are moving from Modern to Commander, and they're bringing that same mentality. I guarantee you that's what it is, right? And then you have the situation where you have Commander players that already were playing Commander for a while, playing casual fun games. Here comes the Modern player with his super powered deck, and he stomps you, and you don't want to get stomped. So now you got to put a Force of Will in your deck, and you don't have the money for one, so you proxy it, right? This is how it happens. And it just ramps it. I talked this is basically what I talked about in my What Format Are We Playing video, about how it's an arms race, and now I got to put mana crypts in my deck, and now I got to put, right, because you want to compete with what they're doing, right? And you don't want to lose. Like, losing sucks for everybody. I don't like losing. And in Modern, what do you do in Modern? Do you play? There is no casual Modern. Modern is only competitive, right? Most formats are only competitive. That's why I say let's keep this format casual, because it's the only one left. So if you're playing a format that's only competitive and you come over to Commander, you're just going to do the same thing, right? These people play Standard the same way. They play, every format, the Pauper the same way. They play all those formats the same. They don't know another way. If you've only played Modern, you don't know another way of playing Magic. There is no other way.